Friday night started out like any other. I was home alone, half watching a rerun of The Office and half scrolling Reddit on my phone, waiting for the pizza rolls in the oven to beep. Sarah had told me earlier in the week that she was going to a no-men girls' night with Jamie and a few others from her old college group. Supposed to be low-key. Wine, maybe some charcuterie, maybe too many selfies with a "we deserve this" caption. I didn't think much of it. Sarah hadn't gone out in a while and I figured she needed it. But then, while I was pouring a Mountain Dew into a cup of crushed ice, I got a bank notification. $126.34. The Olive Terrace. My hand froze mid-pour. Now, I'm not the kind of guy to micromanage every little purchase, but the Olive Terrace? That wasn't the kind of place you hit up for a casual girls' night. It was where you made anniversary reservations a month in advance and worried the whole week about whether your credit card limit could take the hit. It was candlelight, linen napkins, wine pairings. The kind of spot where every server has a French name and speaks in whispers. I stood there, staring at the charge on my screen, waiting for it to make sense. But it didn't. I thought maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe it really was a girls' night and they just decided to splurge. Maybe Jamie got a raise or someone was celebrating a breakup. But something about it made my chest tighten. I opened Sarah's text thread, saw her last message from earlier that day. "Don't wait up. Just us girls tonight, woman dancing, red heart." I didn't reply. An hour later, another notification came through. $298.20, Green Pines Lodge. I didn't breathe for a full 10 seconds. Green Pines Lodge is a boutique countryside hotel about 35 minutes outside the city, with cabins, hot tubs, fire pits, a bar that serves artisan cocktails and hosts live acoustic sets. It's where Sarah and I had stayed one weekend last fall to celebrate our engagement anniversary. She called it her perfect weekend, said she loved the quiet, the privacy. It's not the kind of place you accidentally end up at after wine night. It's the kind of place you plan to be. And you don't drop $300 there unless you're staying the night. My ears started ringing. I sat down on the couch, phone in my lap, staring at the wall like it might blink first. I told myself I was jumping to conclusions. I told myself it could be anything. A group booking, someone covering for everyone else, a surprise bachelorette for a friend I'd never met. I opened Instagram. Jamie had a private account, but I followed her. She was always posting stories, drinks, gym check-ins, motivational quotes about not texting your ex. If they were at Olive Terrace or Green Pines, there'd be something. And there it was. A story posted 20 minutes ago. No captions. Just a slow pan of a glowing fire pit, soft music in the background. Clinking glasses. A few people off-screen laughing. Cozy. Int asterisk mate. Then, toward the corner of the frame, Sarah. She was dressed in a tight, form-fitting black dress I'd never seen before. Her hair curled. Gold earrings. A dark red lipstick she only ever wore when she wanted to be noticed. She was laughing, relaxed, radiant, and next to her, not fully in the frame, a man's hand. That's all it was. Just a hand resting behind her on the wooden bench they shared. Casual. Too casual. You know, the kind of body language that makes your stomach turn before your brain even catches up. His hand wasn't on her, but it didn't need to be. I ***ed it, then zoomed in. The guy's blazer sleeve was rolled slightly, revealing a silver bracelet. Not a detail I recognized, but then again I wasn't supposed to. He wasn't supposed to be there. No men, remember? I waited. She didn't text. Didn't post anything herself. Nothing on her stories. No check-ins. Just that one moment accidentally captured by her friend. A detail not meant to be shared. I sat there for over an hour, staring at that ***T like it might blink. Like it might suddenly explain itself. Didn't. When Sarah came home later, around 1:30 a.m., I was still awake, pretending to watch something on Netflix. She was barefoot, holding her heels in one hand and a takeout cup in the other. Her hair was a little messy, her lipstick faded but still noticeable. She looked surprised to see me awake. "You didn't go to bed?" I shook my head. "Wasn't tired." She kicked off the rest of her things and flopped onto the couch next to me like it was just another night. God. My feet are K*ling me. Jamie made us dance in the cabin like we were at a club. We had so much wine. I didn't answer right away. I opened my photo gallery and pulled up the screenshot *T. Turned the phone toward her. What's this? She looked at it for maybe 2 seconds. Didn't flinch. Oh, that's Tim. Jamie's coworker. I kept my face neutral. Thought it was a girls' night. It was, she said. But Jamie invited him at the last minute. I guess they've been working on some project together and he needed to drop something off, so he just ended up staying. Honestly, he was kind of awkward. Barely said anything. He sat next to you. She smiled like I was being silly. There weren't a lot of places to sit. He plopped down there, stayed for a bit. Nothing weird. He left before midnight. I watched her. Her tone was light. Her expression steady. Almost amused. You didn't mention any guys before. She gave me that look. The one she uses when I ask too many questions about a package delivery or when I double-check the thermostat. Because it wasn't important. He wasn't even supposed to stay. I didn't think it mattered. I didn't respond. She leaned in. Babe, come on. Are you really gonna get jealous over some guy who sat next to me for 5 minutes? Jamie was there. A bunch of the girls were. It wasn't like that. Her voice was smooth, gentle. That confident kind of lying, or maybe not lying, that made me question if I was being dramatic. I looked at her for a long moment. Her eyes didn't twitch. Her body language was relaxed. She wasn't nervous. No fidgeting. No tells. If it wasn't for the bank notifications and that damn bracelet, I might have believed her. Okay, I finally said. She kissed me on the cheek and disappeared into the bathroom. I heard the shower start a minute later. I sat there on the couch, alone again, my heart refusing to settle. There's something about doubt that doesn't just whisper, it lingers, like smoke after a fire, like a note held too long on an off-key piano. You can't unsee a detail once it's been planted. You can't unhear silence when you know it's hiding something. I stared at the photo one more time before deleting it from my gallery, but not from my memory. After that night, something inside me cracked. Not loudly, but in the kind of quiet way that never really gets fixed. I didn't confront her again. I didn't shout or accuse or push. I just started watching, closely. And once you start watching, you start seeing. It's not always big stuff. In fact, it rarely is. It's little things. Things you'd miss if you weren't looking. But now Sarah had started setting her phone screen down every time she placed it on a surface. Used to be, she'd toss it face up on the table, let it buzz mid-conversation, didn't care who saw. Now it was a flip, subtle, consistent. Her fingerprint unlock disappeared one day too. Just vanished. I asked her why, jokingly, when I noticed her typing in her code instead. She shrugged. I don't trust that stuff. I read it's easy to spoof. She'd used it for 3 years. Now suddenly it was a privacy concern? Another time, I glanced at her lock screen when a message popped up. The notification said one new message, but not who from. Not even an app name. I asked her if she changed her settings. She smiled. Just cleaning up the clutter. It stresses me out seeing all the previews. Clutter, right? Then came the self-care upgrades. New makeup, more of it. A different style of clothes, tighter, bolder. I noticed a lot of her old, comfy stuff slowly disappearing from the laundry rotation. She started doing her hair even when she was just running errands. When I mentioned it offhand, said she looked great. She laughed. Spa night's my therapy now. Work's been brutal lately. This helps me feel human. Work. That word came up more and more. Work was always crazy. Work was the reason for her mood swings, her staying up late on the laptop, her closing the door during Zoom calls. Work was the reason she started going into the office less, and working Fridays remotely from some co-working space across town. Conveniently, the same part of town where Tim lived. I found that out from a conversation she had on speakerphone with Jamie. Something about Jamie not wanting to drive across the city and Sarah replying, Tim does it every week. You'll survive. I asked her one day where this co-working space was. Just casually, like I was considering one myself. She looked up from her smoothie and said, "Why do you need to know?" It wasn't said with anger, it was too calm for that. It was dismissive, the kind of response that stops you mid-thought. I didn't ask again. Then came the jewelry. I saw the receipt first. Found it in the kitchen junk drawer when I was looking for batteries. Small square paper with a bold $200 at the bottom and the words, "Sterling Wishbone Necklace." Gift box, scrawled next to it. She never mentioned it. Never showed it to me. I never saw it in the house. Later that week, I asked if she'd bought anything lately. "Oh," she said, barely looking up. "Yeah, got something for a friend's birthday." "Who?" Her brow furrowed, like she had to think about it. "Jen. From work. She loves silver stuff." I'd never heard of Jen, but I let it go, or acted like I did, because that's what I started doing, collecting moments, little ones. A smirk when she thought I wasn't watching. The way she typed furiously and smiled at her screen. The new habit of leaving her Apple Watch on Do Not Disturb. The Pilates classes she suddenly started taking on Mondays and Wednesdays, long sessions that ran past dinner. One night after she got home, her hair smelled different. Not her usual coconut conditioner. It was stronger, muskier, masculine, even. I didn't mention it. I just made a mental note. Another night, I walked into the bedroom and saw her deleting messages the moment they popped up on her screen. Just swipe, tap, gone. When I raised an eyebrow, she didn't even hesitate. Work chat. Nonsense stuff. You know how group texts are. She was quick with answers. Too quick. And the strangest part? I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was just numb. Numb and curious. Like I was living in a puzzle where half the pieces were flipped upside down and no one would admit it. I started tracking things, not in a notebook or spreadsheet. Nothing dramatic. Just mental tallies. Like how many times she said Jamie when explaining where she was. Jamie this, Jamie that. Jamie suddenly became the most convenient alibi on earth. Or how often she smiled at her phone, then put it down when I walked in. Or how she never mentioned Tim unless I brought him up first, and then always in that same tone. God, you're not still thinking about that, are you? As if the idea of her doing anything suspicious was absurd. As if I was crazy for noticing how she'd changed. I told myself I was being paranoid. That it was just a rough patch, stress, overthinking. But the truth? The truth was that it didn't feel like us anymore. The us I knew used to make coffee together in the mornings. Now she was out the door before I'd even woken up. We used to sit on the couch at night, feet tangled under a shared blanket, binging dumb reality TV. Now she'd watch in the bedroom, because she needed quiet. Or she'd scroll while we were watching and laugh at things I wasn't part of. She used to tell me when she had dreams. Now she didn't tell me much at all. And I get it. Relationships change. People grow, life gets busy. But this didn't feel like growing apart. Felt like something was being hidden. Like I was living with a stranger who wore my girlfriend's face. One day, I saw her pack a weekend bag. Not big, not suspicious, just enough for an overnight trip. She said it was for another girl's cabin getaway. Just like last time. Said she needed the break. She even showed me the rental listing. "Look how cute this place is," she said, spinning the screen toward me. It was cute. Fire pit. Deck with string lights. A little vintage record player on the shelf. Romantic if you didn't know better. That weekend, she left early Saturday morning. Hugged me at the door. Said she loved me. I said it back. She smelled like vanilla that day. New perfume. I hadn't smelled it before. After she drove off, I sat at the table for a long time, staring at nothing. Then I opened Instagram. Jamie had posted a story again. Just like before, wine, music, soft lighting. A fire pit. A blanket. The same damn setting. Only this time, the angles were different. A wider sh*T. And there, in the corner, Sarah. Curled up under a plaid blanket. Next to her, a man's silhouette. His arms stretched behind her on the bench. Her head resting on his chest. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't caught mid-laugh. She was calm. At ease. Like she'd done it before. I stared at that photo for a long time. And something clicked. All those little things, the screen-down phone, the work chat, the perfume, the jokes, the distance, they weren't separate anymore. They were a thread, a single line running through all of it. And now, finally, I could see what it spelled out. It spelled betrayal. Not loud, not confessed, not screamed, but quiet, constant, obvious once I let myself look. Saturday started quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like a warning. Sarah had left early that morning, just like she said she would. She kissed me on the cheek, told me to enjoy my lazy weekend, and wheeled her little black suitcase out the door without looking back. She wore high-waisted jeans, a cream-colored sweater, and that new perfume, soft and expensive, floral with something musky underneath. She never used to wear perfume to these girls' weekends. I watched her drive off through the blinds. She texted me an hour later. Made it. Already cracking open the wine, LOL. Don't miss me too much, face blowing a kiss. I replied with a thumbs up. Then I sat back on the couch. Laptop open, but I wasn't working. Not really. I stared at a blank Google Doc for 30 minutes. My mind wasn't on the screen. It was back in my gut, where every warning bell had been ringing for weeks. And today they were deafening. I couldn't take it anymore. By 5:30, I had the wine bottle open, not because I wanted to celebrate anything, but because I needed to calm the shaking in my hands. My mind was a hurricane of questions. What if I was wrong? What if it was all innocent? What if I showed up and she caught me spying like some paranoid wreck? But that story, the one Jamie posted earlier that day, wouldn't let me go. The music, the blanket, the shape of her resting her head against someone. It didn't feel like suspicion anymore. It felt like proof. So I did it. I opened her Instagram story again. Same clip. Fire pit crackling, background laughter. A different angle this time, wide enough that there was no denying what I saw. Sarah under a blanket, her head tilted, her shoulder pressed to someone else's side. A man's arm casually draped behind her. Not around her, just behind. Close enough that you knew it wasn't a first. And then, like fate mocking me, the music in the background shifted. A soft, slow indie love song I knew she loved. She'd added it to our couple playlist years ago. One of those late-night wine songs you only play when you want to feel close to someone. I stared at the video for a long time. ***ted it. Saved it in a private folder. It felt like evidence in a trial I never asked to be part of. I opened Google Maps. Searched for the listing she'd shown me earlier that week. Look how cute this place is, she'd said. I remembered the address. Pulled it up. Mapped the route. 42 minutes. I didn't plan to go. I just started driving. The sun was already setting. That early golden November light fading into gray. The road stretched out in front of me. Winding, mostly empty. Just a few other cars, all headed the other way. I didn't listen to music. Didn't call anyone. My brain was loud enough. By the time I reached the neighborhood, the GPS said I was less than half a mile away. IK** led the lights and parked 2 streets over, near a line of tall pine trees. Got out and walked. The cold hit me quick. I hadn't even grabbed a jacket. My breath showed up in front of me like a ghost, but I didn't care. I followed the gravel path through the woods, toward the soft flicker of lights between the trees. I could hear music, laughter, glasses clinking. Then I saw the cabin. It was small, warm-looking, tucked into the pines like it belonged there. Twinkly lights wrapped around the porch. A record was playing something mellow. A fire pit glowed just off to the side. I crept closer, sticking to the shadows. My heart was hammering. Then I saw her, Sarah, sitting on a wooden bench near the fire, bundled in a plaid blanket, curled into someone else. A man, taller than her, dark hair, same silver bracelet I'd seen in the Instagram ***T. His arm was around her shoulders. Not loose, not accidental, secure. Familiar. She was nestled against his chest. Her face tilted up toward him like it was the most natural thing in the world. They weren't talking, just sitting there. Then she smiled, laughed softly, and leaned up, kissed him. Slow, gentle. The kind of kiss that said this wasn't new. I felt everything drain from my body, like someone had opened a trapdoor in my chest and let all the air out. I stepped back, fast. A crunch of gravel under my boot. Sarah's head snapped toward the sound. Our eyes locked. For a second, the whole world paused. Just silence. No wind. No music. Just me, her, and the awful realization sinking in between us. She stood up so fast the blanket fell off her shoulders. "Wait!" she shouted, barefoot, stumbling off the porch. I was already turning around. Walking. Fast. Back down the path toward the road. I didn't trust myself to speak. I didn't trust myself to do anything but leave. "Please wait!" she cried again. Her voice cracked. I reached the car and unlocked it. She was behind me now, maybe 10 feet back. Still barefoot. Still wrapped in that damn blanket. She banged on the window as I shut the door. "Please. Please let me explain. It's not what you think." I didn't even look at her. I started the car, hands shaking. My foot hovered over the gas. My pulse was a roar in my ears. "You weren't supposed to come here," she screamed. "This isn't." It wasn't. I drove off. She shouted something as I pulled away, but I didn't catch it. Didn't want to. My vision was blurry the whole drive back. Not from tears, I couldn't even cry. It was like my brain had shut off everything but the bare minimum. Breathe. Drive. Breathe again. When I got home, I didn't go inside right away. I sat in the driveway for over an hour. Engine off, the house lights still dark. The silence was thick. It felt like the end of something sacred. Like I just buried a version of myself I'd never get back. Eventually, I went inside. Didn't turn on any lights. Just stood there in the dark, listening to the hum of the fridge and the distant ticking of the hallway clock. I opened a drawer and pulled out the flash drive I kept for emergencies. Plugged it into my laptop. Then I started. Downloading bank statements. Pulling **TS. Going back through every message. Every "it's nothing." Every excuse. I opened her cloud photo backup. The one she'd once asked me to help set up. Hundreds of photos. Not of us. Not anymore. Selfies in a bathroom I didn't recognize. Outfits I'd never seen. Her smile, the one I used to think was mine, now directed somewhere else. I backed up everything. I opened the home security footage, the doorbell camera we barely remembered existed. There were nights she said she was home, but never showed up on it until after midnight. Sometimes wearing different clothes than she left in. I collected it all. Not to confront her. Not yet. I just wanted to remember what real felt like. And in that moment, nothing about her did. That night, I didn't sleep. Not even for a minute. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the faint glow of the digital clock marking the hours I didn't want to face. I kept replaying it, her under that blanket, his arm around her, that kiss, over and over again, like my brain was too stunned to file it away. Every time I blinked, there it was again. That image. That moment. By sunrise, something inside me had shifted. I stopped looking for comfort. I stopped hoping for answers. I started gathering evidence. It wasn't about revenge. Not yet. It was about clarity. About knowing, without room for doubt, what she had turned our life into while looking me in the eye and telling me she loved me. I started with the phone records, pulled our shared phone bill and scrolled through the numbers. There it was, one that popped up too frequently. Not saved under a name. Just a number. Mostly texts. Mostly late. I copied it into a new document. Labeled it, likely Tim. Then I opened the cloud backups I had quietly synced a year ago, just in case. Her phone photos, auto-uploaded. She had no idea they were still connected. First, it was harmless stuff. Coffee cups. Sunsets. Her cat curled on the windowsill. Then came the selfies, dozens. In bathrooms that weren't ours. Hotel room mirrors. Cars I didn't recognize. Sometimes she was smiling. Sometimes posing with that practiced, flirty look she used when she wanted something. A few were taken on days she told me she was at Jamie's or working from the cafe. I made a new folder. /inconsistencies/ I didn't open them all. Just enough to know I was right. Next was GPS data, another shared account she forgot about. We both had Google location tracking turned on. I downloaded the activity logs from the past 3 months. There it was, River Heights condominiums. Over and over again. Friday afternoons. Wednesday evenings. The same pattern. She told me she was working at a co-working space. But that building? It wasn't an office. It was an apartment complex. And guess who lived there? Tim. Found his name on a real estate directory, buried in a listing from 2 years ago. Unit 3B. 1 bedroom. River facing. I highlighted every GPS visit in yellow. Then came the emails. She used the same laptop for work and personal stuff. I knew her email password, not because I snooped, but because we shared streaming logins and it had never changed. She never thought to. I logged in and searched for Tim. Some were from her work inbox. Innocent on the surface, but something about the tone caught me. Inside jokes. Casual references. Lines like, "I'm still sore from that hike. You better carry me next time, smirking face." Or, "Can't stop thinking about last weekend. You made my whole month." She deleted most of them, but not all. Some weren't even from her inbox, they were saved in drafts. Half-written confessions. One that read, "I don't know how much longer I can keep up the act. Every time I'm with him, I feel like a liar. But when I'm with you, I feel like myself." I didn't know who him was in that sentence, but I had a good guess. I printed the emails, every single one that mattered. I didn't want to rely on **TS. I wanted paper, something real, tangible, something I could hold when I started second-guessing my memory. I put everything in a manila folder and slid it into my backpack. Then I checked our front door camera footage. That one hurt the most. I hadn't reviewed it in months. I'd forgotten the app even existed. But it was all there. Every motion ping. Every time she left. Every time she came home. There were days she claimed to be here all afternoon. But the footage said otherwise. She'd walk out in yoga clothes at 2 p.m., say she was headed to Pilates, wouldn't return until after 10 p.m. And when she did, her hair would be styled differently. Makeup touched up. Clothes changed. Once, I saw her being dropped off by a car that wasn't hers. I paused the video, zoomed in on the windshield. A man in the driver's seat. Same silver bracelet. My stomach twisted. Again. I downloaded the clips, stored them with timestamps, added notes. By the end of the day, I had an entire digital archive. /betrayal/ texts, PDF, GPS_log, CSV, **TS/ doorcam_clips/ emails, PDF, photos_cloud/ summary, TXT. It looked like a case file. And in a way, that's what it was. I backed it all up to a flash drive. Labeled it in black Sharpie, Truth. Then I placed it inside a fireproof envelope and locked it in the safe we used for passports and birth certificates. She never used that safe. Didn't even know the code. At some point, I realized it was nearly evening. The sun had dipped below the rooftops and the air was turning cold again. Sarah still hadn't texted. I didn't text her either. And I didn't wait up that night. Instead, I opened Zillow. Found a cheap studio apartment across town. Month-to-month lease. Nothing fancy. Brick walls, tiny kitchenette, worn-out carpet. But it had a door, a lock, and silence. I filled out the rental form. The next morning, while Sarah was still gone, I packed a few bags. Clothes, my laptop, that flash drive. Left the shared credit card on the counter. Took my name off the grocery delivery account. Logged into my payroll system and redirected my income to a separate bank account I'd opened the week before. She didn't even notice. For the next 2 weeks, I split myself in two. By day, I was the same. Calm. Helpful. Predictable. She'd kiss me goodbye in the morning. I'd say, "Drive safe." At night, we'd eat dinner while she told me about some rough meeting, or how Jamie was planning another girls' thing soon. I smiled. I listened. But I was already gone. I slept at the new place 3 nights a week. Left my toothbrush there. Bought a thrift store dresser and a cheap mattress. Made it mine slowly. She didn't ask. Didn't wonder why I wasn't home when she came back early once. She was too busy watching her own story unfold. I became invisible. On purpose. She'd already done the leaving. She just hadn't told me yet. So I let her keep her secrets, while I built a new life. One without them. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of pretending. Of saying love you out of habit. Of smiling across the dinner table like I wasn't documenting her every lie. I woke up every morning in 2 places at once. The house we shared and the life I no longer recognized. She didn't notice. She was too busy spinning her own version of normal. The one where I was still asleep while she left in full makeup. The one where her co-working Fridays started to blur with girls' trips. The one where she thought I couldn't possibly know. And maybe I would have let it go longer. Maybe I would have kept documenting, watching, waiting. But the thing about secrets is they rot, they spread, and eventually they start collapsing on their own. It was a Wednesday afternoon when the cracks showed. I was at the apartment, halfway through drafting an email when my phone buzzed. It was Sarah. "Can you talk?" That was it. No emojis. No explanation. I called her. She answered on the first ring. Her voice was panicked. Small. Like she was trying to hold something in but couldn't. I need to tell you something," she said, breath shaky. "Okay," I said. Neutral. Calm. I gotten good at that. "They suspended me." I blinked. "What?" "Work. They suspended me. Indefinitely." God. I don't know how this happened. I stayed quiet, waiting. "There was a report," she continued. "Some anonymous complaint. About me and Tim." There it was. Said out loud. Finally. "What kind of complaint?" She let out a laugh that wasn't really a laugh. More like a panic escaping her chest. "They said we were disappearing during office hours. Missing meetings. Using company time for personal things." I almost asked what kind of personal things? Just to hear her say it. But I already knew. "They pulled the badge logs," she went on. "Zoom timestamps. Calendar history. Everything. It all lined up." "Everything?" "Yeah." She paused. "Tim got fired. They didn't even give him a second meeting. Just security escorting him out. And you? They're still deciding. But it doesn't look good." Silence settled between us. Thick. Ugly. She didn't cry, not yet. I think she was still in shock. Still holding out hope that this was all just some misunderstanding. But I'd seen it coming. She finally asked, softly, "Was it you?" I didn't say anything. "You reported me, didn't you?" Still, I said nothing. I didn't need to. I can't believe you do this," she snapped suddenly, venom slipping into her voice. "You wanted to ruin me." "I didn't need to," I said, and my voice was steady. Too steady. "You did that yourself." She hung up. That night I came home. The real home. Our house. The one we once made together. She was already there, curled on the couch like a collapsed version of herself. Still wearing work clothes or what passed for them lately. Her heels were off, hair a mess. There were tissues all over the coffee table. She didn't even look up when I walked in. Just stared at the wall like it might start talking. "You think I deserved this?" she asked without turning her head. I didn't answer. Just set down my keys. "I made a mistake. Okay?" she said louder. "I made a mistake. But do I deserve to lose everything because of it?" That word again. Mistake. They always call it that. One isolated, oops I fell on him moment. Never mind the texts, the calls, the planning, the cover-ups, the months of deception, the rehearsed lies. "I didn't plan this," she said, rubbing her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to get serious." "Didn't mean for what?" I asked. My tone wasn't angry, just hollow. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were swollen, red. "Tim and it wasn't supposed to be a thing. He was just there. When you weren't." I let that sit. When I wasn't. Like I'd disappeared. Like I hadn't been showing up, paying bills, cooking meals, carrying the weight of everything while she went chasing excitement behind my back. "I didn't report you," I said. She blinked. "What?" "I didn't need to. You were sloppy." You left a trail. She stared, processing. You think no one noticed? I added. You think your office is blind? They all talk. You don't vanish during working hours and leave no footprints. Someone noticed. Someone said something. Her lip trembled. But you have all the **TS. The emails. The photos. I know you do. You've been distant. Cold. You've been watching. I didn't confirm it. I didn't need to. But you didn't report me? She asked again, quieter this time. I shook my head. She crumpled inward, arms wrapped around herself like they were the only things holding her up. She wasn't crying for me, or for us. She was crying for the fallout. The job, the reputation, the illusion, all gone. I sat across from her, didn't speak, just watched as she unraveled. Eventually, she said, He's not answering me. Tim. She nodded. Of course he's not. She looked up. Why do you say that? Because people like him disappear when things stop being fun. It wasn't cruel. It was just the truth. She wanted Tim for the thrill. He wanted her for the convenience. Now, with jobs on the line and HR involved, what did they have left? Shame. Maybe regret. But not each other. So what now? She asked. I already moved out, I said. Her mouth opened, closed. I saw the moment the pieces clicked. That's why your stuff was disappearing. I nodded. I don't know what I thought. You weren't supposed to notice, I said. You were too busy. She winced like I'd hit her. Silence again. A heavy, aching silence. She curled tighter into herself, knees pulled up, blanket clenched in her fists. I don't want to be alone, she said after a while. Quiet, small. Everyone's gone. My parents stopped answering. Jamie's avoiding me. Tim ghosted. Work's probably gonna cut me loose next week. I'm still here, I said. She looked up, hopeful. But not for long. And I meant it. She nodded slowly. So that's it. I stood. You're not the victim, Sarah. She didn't argue. Maybe for the first time she didn't have the energy to. As I walked out of the room, she said, barely loud enough to hear, You didn't even yell. I paused at the hallway. That's because you're not worth screaming at. The house turned cold. She stopped going out. Friends vanished. Her job let her go. She cried a lot. Sometimes at night, sometimes in the kitchen, holding a coffee she never drank. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I filed for divorce. Closed our joint accounts. She begged, screamed, threatened. Nothing landed. One day, she whispered, You destroyed me. I looked at her and said, No, you just finally saw the damage you caused. 6 months later, I live by the lake. No noise, no lies. Mornings are walks. Evenings, books and quiet. She tried to call once. I let it ring. She lost her friends, her job, and him. I lost her and gained peace. People ask if I ever got revenge. I tell them silence is louder than shouting. Distance is deeper than anger. I didn't ruin her life. I just stepped back and let her ruin it without me in the way.